Hey everyone, this is the human behind Gonzo is a cat, and this video is the official explainer for how I build Gonzo's camera collars, which we get a question about on almost every video we post to social media. I've done one brief explainer video on TikTok, but I wanted to do a more detailed breakdown here to ensure that if people are going to try this with their cats, they can do it safely and benefit from some of the lessons that we've learned here over the years of doing this project. When we first had the idea to put a camera on our cat a few years ago, we went looking for pre-made cameras and had a hard time finding one. We did order one that cost like $80, but when it arrived it was cheaply made and it didn't even turn on. So we returned it, and I decided I'd just find a small cheap camera and try to make my own. And since then I've experimented with a few different models and techniques, and in this video I'll show you how I'm making this most recent camera. In the video description below you'll find the links to everything I'm about to show you. So the first thing you'll need is a Breakaway cat collar. I like these ones quite a bit. It's important for it to be a breakaway collar because if it gets caught on something, you want to lose the collar and not the cat. In our case, Gonzo has never actually snagged his collar on anything, and the only time his camera has fallen off is when he was rolling around on the ground, like in this video. But if he were to get caught, we'd want it to break away, so breakaway collar, very important. Then of course you need a camera. There are a number of different types that you could buy. The kind that I use on Gonzo is the SQ23, and the link is below. These are not GoPros, they're not super high quality. They probably have an average lifespan of about a year of heavy usage, but the view angle is pretty good and they are small. Here you can see for reference that it's about the same size as one of the smallest Apple USB adapters. If you have one of these lying around, you can see how it would size up on your cat. Gonzo is pretty large, but if your cat is smaller, there's also a camera called the SQ11, which you can see here, and which is even more compact. The viewing angle on these is a little tighter, but if you're just trying to see what your cat is up to, then it gets the job done and it's even cheaper. The link is also in the description for that. So once you've got your collar and your camera, you need to attach them somehow. The way I do it is with a 3D doodle pen. These things have gotten pretty inexpensive since I started doing this. All these things together cost about as much as one of the pre-made camera collars that you can now find on the market. But once you have these things, you can make new collars a lot more cheaply, and you have this cool doodle pen which can be handy for a bunch of other things besides this. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the process step by step. As you can see, I have some aluminum foil to protect my desk and a paper towel handy to be able to pull off any excess plastic while I'm working. If this is your first time using a doodle pen, you should try just messing around with it a little bit first. Using it to make this camera frame is a pretty simple project, but you do need to move the pen at a bit of a steady rate as it pushes plastic out, so you should just get comfortable with that a little bit before you get rolling. And obviously, know that these can burn you if you're not careful, so be careful. Don't touch the hot plastic until it's cooled down a little bit. Once your pen is warmed up, the first step is just to draw a frame in the shape of a cube around the camera's edges. So just 12 straight lines that connect and become one cage. I'll speed up the video here, but take your time. The edges don't need to be perfect, but do just try to avoid covering up any of the indicator lights or buttons. If you mess up, it's pretty easy to just let the plastic cool and then break it off and try again. Once you've got your cube drawn, it's time to figure out how to orient your camera. This camera is designed to shoot in a standard 16:9 horizontal aspect ratio, which is the same shape as this video that you're watching on YouTube. But if you want to post things on TikTok, for instance, you may want to turn it 90 degrees to take video that can be rotated for vertical display. So if you want to shoot for horizontal aspect, just make sure you build the rest of the frame on the top of the camera where these buttons are. If you want to do vertical, I recommend, for these cameras anyway, rotating it 90 degrees so that the USB charging port is on the top. So this is what our vertical aspect ratio camera, which is what I'm going to build in this video, will end up looking like. As you can see, the power buttons are off on the right hand side here. Also, while we're looking at this clip, take a look at the completed plastic cage on top. That's what we're going to build next. The reason the top part of the cage is shaped like that is so that we can separate the collar from the camera a little bit and to angle the camera downward. If you don't do that, you can end up with a video that is mostly just chin furry. After you've decided which side is the top of your camera, we need to build up from there. Lay the camera on its side and we'll start by building the vertical supports. For the support in the back, I'm just going to start by touching the hot tip of my doodle pen to the back right corner of the camera cage that we built before, and I'm going to draw a new line directly on the aluminum foil that's about 1 centimeter long. It helps to make things less messy if, when you finish drawing the line, you stop the plastic, wait a second, and then sharply pull the pen away. That keeps it from getting stringy. Then you'll do the same thing on the front right corner, but you'll make the line about 2 centimeters long. It doesn't have to be exact, and you can always just use scissors later to cut the plastic and try again if you don't like the angle or whatever, but this is what I found works for Gonzo. Give that side a second to cool, and then it should pull right off the foil. Flip the camera over to the other side and make 2 more lines that mirror the ones we just made. Now is probably a good time to say that if you end up with any sharp edges on your plastic, you can always just use the tip of your pen to smooth any of the pointy parts out. We want everything to be smooth in the end so that nothing is poking the cinematographer. Once those supports cool, you'll have something that looks like this. The next step is just to draw lines that connect the front and back supports horizontally. If your 2 sides weren't exactly the same height, you can just even things out here on this step like I'm doing. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, but you do want it to be as level as possible. I'll speed through this section now since it's pretty straightforward. Just do a cross support in the front and in the back. Let it cool, and then it'll look like this. Now we only need to draw 2 more lines, but before we do, we'll have to put the collar in place, because once we connect the front and back supports, everything will be one connected piece. So here's my collar. I'm reusing one that I've used before, so it has these black twist ties, but don't worry about that for now. I'll explain in a minute. What's important for now is just that you want to take the tall front support and slip it through the part of the collar where there's 2 layers of strapping where the size adjustment happens. Do it so that it looks like this, and so that the collar can close in a loop away from the camera. Now we just need to make 2 more lines connecting the front and back supports, and that'll be the last thing we need from the doodle pen. Once that's done, congratulations, you've got a collar camera. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's lightweight. This whole thing weighs as much as 2 Oreo cookies, and it's sturdy enough to hold together under normal conditions, but not so rugged that it won't break if it ever gets caught on something. And then yeah, I've added these twist ties to try to make the camera move less when Gonzo walks. It's not perfect and it's still pretty shaky, but it does help a little bit to kind of tighten up the slack there. I'm sure there are ways to engineer something more stable, but for us, we want to keep the camera collar light, and we're happy with the results we get back.